Creative thinking is one of the best things in the entire universe as we know it. Why? Because the universe wouldn't be interesting to begin with if it weren't for the diverse and intricate complexities of the mind. Our capability to simply close our eyes and actively create an image in our mind is responsible for everything we know and enjoy in entertainment, work, and existence. The mind feeds off of imagination. Life would be so meaninglessly mundane if we couldn't bring ourselves to create such abstract concepts in our brains. But this is what keeps us going. This is why things are fun to begin with. The power of imagination is what makes life so enthralling. The ability and possibility of imagination and comprehension stems from the question of, what if? What if what I perceive in my mind is a possible outcome? Fictional or not, what if it could be real? If the universe is infinite, then basically anything we contemplate in our head could be a legitimate possibility. But let's forget about the universe. What about you? What about the universe inside your head? Every story ever told had to be told through the recreation of one's perception and imagination of events. This applies to new ones as well, considering that the best stories are oftentimes ones that are heavily inspired by someone else's, but different enough to seem new. But pure imagination is a bit different from blatant memory. It's true that we can draw from our memory, or perception of surroundings, and it's also true that we can mix imagination with memory, or apply it to what we see. But does pure imagination exist? When I say pure imagination, I'm referring to a state of mind where everything you think has no outside or alternative influences based on your memories. Is it possible to create something completely original in your mind? Right now, if I say close your eyes and imagine a tree, you would simply and easily do that. If I were to say close your eyes and imagine a tree that has green and red stripes going vertically, you can do that just as easily. Though such a tree doesn't exist in nature, your mind knows what the color red is, and thus applies it in order to comprehend what I've explained it to you. What you just imagined was drawn from the real-world influences. You've seen a tree before, so it's easy. When describing to someone something they've never seen before, we tend to refer back to things they would likely have an understanding of, giving them the ability to create something in their mind out of what they already know. But let's try creating something in your mind completely new. If I attach a word to this completely new object, such as quazulafis, there would be no immediate creation of this object in your mind due to the fact that your mind has nothing to draw from. The word means nothing to you, and because of this, anything you could have possibly imagined would be taken from something else. I challenge you to imagine something completely new, something that isn't a twist or combination on things you already know. It's hard. In fact, it's impossible. Just as someone that is colorblind can't comprehend what he hasn't seen, we also can't comprehend within this universe what we haven't seen. But our imagination has led to the discovery of things that we previously had no awareness of. It's easy enough to predict what the future could bring, but unless you get extremely lucky, there are certain things that will be beyond our current comprehension of our surroundings. Just as people from 200 years ago could not have predicted, or even for that matter, comprehended the current state of society. Only until they could see things the way they are for themselves, they wouldn't be able to imagine it. But this is why our brains are so special. Our need for something new, something unique and different, is responsible for the progression of society as we know it. If the question, what if, hadn't been interesting to us, things would always be the same. But because of imagination, could things possibly get worse? Imagination is the cause for curiosity, and curiosity can be the cause for great harm. Let's imagine, for the sake of argument, that the Earth is perfectly sustained and lives in a complete utopia. Despite one's education, the curiosity of doing something bad may always persist. All it takes is for one person to ask, how would they react? In a perfect world, doing something bad might be interesting enough to cause the curiosity of a single person to go a bit too far. It's easy to understand that imagination isn't real, but it can cause very real events. Regardless of whether imagination is good or bad, it's required for overall progression. In general, if you think about it, imagination is pretty cool. Though it can't quench everyone's boredom, it can bring up the idea of what to do next. For things not to get boring and monotonous, we need to do things that are different. And to do things that are different, we need our imagination. Doing the same thing over and over again gets extremely boring, and with every generation, there are new ideas of how to make an impact in their own specific way. It's overall vital to our mental health. So in the end, it's truly the thought that counts.